Hi guys, this is Kirill, your Justice analyst, and today we continue with the Eurovision 2025. Today we will talk about probably the most successful country of the 21st century in Eurovision Song Contest, and it's Sweden. In the last 15 years, Sweden has managed to win 3 times, 2 times with Lorraine and 1 time with Måns Zelmerlöw, and Sweden is so famous in the Eurovision world for hosting the most amazing national selection called Melodifestivalen, which many may argue is even better than Eurovision Song Contest, and Eurovision is borrowing lots of ideas with regards to the voting, the running order determination and so on from Melodifestivalen. The composers who write the songs for Melodifestivalen are the ones which are producing usually at least 1/4 of all entries taking part in the Eurovision. And this year again I was there live in the Friends Arena to see the final of Melodifestivalen. It was an amazing show, and if I have to name my favorites of this year's edition, this would be these 3 songs.
So you think that you're brave enough to be one of those? I don't think so. You think you're strong enough to go and sing on your own sweet and psycho. You're so
Right before the final, it was clear that the winner will be either the band KAJ or Måns Zelmerlöw. Interestingly, they were both in the same semi-final, where Måns still managed to win in accordance with the televoting, so that's why no one was really writing him off. And also the expectation was that Måns will of course get much more points from the juries. By the way, this is his performance.
It's a revolution, Lord, the revolution, people that will change the world.
But in the end, even if on average the juries have preferred the entry of Måns, KAJ still managed to get amazing results in accordance with the jury voting. And then in the televoting, surprisingly, it was also very close, but KAJ still managed to win with a very small margin. So what do we know about KAJ? This is a band consisting of 3 members, and the name of the band was simply formed by combining the first letters of the first names of all 3 participants. They all are almost the same age. I think 2 of them are now 32, 1 is still 31, and they actually come not from Sweden but from Finland. But Finland, just for your understanding, has 1 autonomous region, Åland Islands, which is completely Swedish-speaking. Swedish is like an official language there. They come from another region, which is the only region which is not autonomous, but which still has a majority of people speaking Swedish. So to be precise, it's 51%. The band formed already back then in 2009. Their kind of first serious single was released in 2013, for which they won a couple of awards. So in general, they were getting popularity by being this kind of unique band which is from Finland, speaking this sort of Swedish dialect and performing the songs in it. They tried themselves in very different genres, but their entry for Melodifestivalen they have composed jointly with a couple of famous songwriters, for example Anderz, Wrethov. And it was also co-composed by Skowronski, who is still a very new name in Melodifestivalen, even though already back then in 2009 he was dancing on stage for some of the performers. But this year he actually composed 2 songs for this Melodifestivalen. So apart from Bara Bada Bastu, this is also the song by Khalifa. So who knows how many entries Skowronski will produce for the next year's Melodifestivalen. But now let's take a look at the lyrics of their song titled Bara Bada Bastu, or in English, "You're gonna have a sauna," or "just having a sauna." There are different translations possible. So already in the first verse the guys are saying, "All worries will soon disappear, the best cure for body and soul, these 4 wood-paneled walls," so basically describing sauna to us. Then towards the chorus they're singing, "Our firewood heats just as well as tango with Arja Saijonmaa." By the way, if you don't know, Arja Saijonmaa is a Finnish singer who even took part in Melodifestivalen a couple of times. She had 2nd place already in the 80s, and she also returned a couple of years ago. Why do they exactly make reference to dancing tango with her? I'm not 100% sure. Around 20 years ago, she was taking part in sort of Let's Dance show in Sweden, so this could be one reason. Another reason, somewhere in the 80s, she also had some singles and album with the title Tango. So if you know, definitely let me know down below in the comments. And then in the chorus, the guys are just telling to us, we're gonna have sauna, we're sauna brothers who will glow. This is of course 100 degrees, let's steam up and let go all of stress today. In the second verse, they're just showing their really sauna dedicated spirit, how they kind of challenge each other, saying how long can you take it, tick tick tock tock. 19 degrees, we're almost there. Damn, it's getting hot in here. So basically telling to us that the proper sauna should definitely have 100 degrees. Then the chorus gets repeated a couple of times, and in the bridge they're just saying again and again, just having a sauna, just having a sauna. And there is this one small addition where they say do not cover, maybe referring to the fact that in sauna you should just stay naked. Well, in Germany it's definitely like this. I can say in my home country it's kind of unimaginable to go to sauna completely naked. You always use the towel or maybe swimwear or something like that, but I'm not really sure how it is in Scandinavia. In any case, very sweet lyrics, you know, playful, interesting theme, not something usual. And I think this is so clever that these guys coming to the Swedish selection are singing about something typical Finnish to kind of put even more accent on the fact that they are coming from Finland, that they're representing Finnish culture in some way, even if they're singing in Swedish. So now without further talking, let's first of all go into the first listen where I will take a look at the MP3 track, and then for my second listen it will be the live performance from Melodifestivalen final. I actually have never listened to the song without watching that live performance because I was just watching the Melodifestivalen semi-final and the final, then also the TV version. So yeah, I'm quite curious how it will now come through without this visual element. It's just such a cool beginning, you know, this accordion sound with some electronic beat, very nice mix. It's just so playful, their voices are also great. It also gives a bit of this dance band vibes, but just made in a kind of cool and modern way. This language definitely sounds to me much more Finnish than Swedish, so seems like it's just this kind of Finnish accent while speaking Swedish, so I can imagine that for the Swedes it probably sounds very funny. This part is so great. When I was in the arena, you know, everyone was singing along. Such an amazing feeling. Yeah, of course, key change, necessary, you know, it's still Eurovision. Even without seeing the live performance now, I was still having the pictures from that amazing staging all the time in my head because it's just something so memorable and it's really hard to separate the song from the staging. I think this is a great song which can become a classic, you know, at some Swedish parties. I think this is also a perfect song for this kind of Swedish summer festivals like Lotta Polisberg or Allskansen. So this type of songs people will definitely sing along and will just have a great time. Of course, from singing perspective, the song is nothing challenging, but on the other hand, if people know the lyrics, it's just so easy to sing along, so I think it's also an additional advantage for them. But now let's just take a look at their live performance from Friends Arena for Melodifestivalen final. The beginning is already so engaging. You see these beautiful sausages grilled on the fireplace. You see this nice Christmas trees around. He with his Naja, which I think is very international, at least in Germany. We also like to say Naja. So this will really get many people engaged from the first seconds. The backing vocals are contributing to this perfectly. It just sounds so impactful and so powerful. This performance with all these trees is just, you know, very cozy, very comforting. I think in Swedish Melodifestivalen we had a couple of performances like this, for example, by Hasse Andersson. But you know, the songs were also always a bit old school, so nothing really for Eurovision. And these guys, they just took this coziness, added very modern beats, just made it modern and accessible for the whole Eurovision audience. And yeah, I think they will do really, really well. The way how they just turned this kind of pile of wood, which they had a few seconds before, into sauna is really mesmerizing. I think this is so cool. So their staging is just absolutely excellent. I don't think they need to change anything for the Eurovision stage. This is also a very clever camera angle. I'm not really sure if the camera is really filming them through these flames from the fireplace, or is it just an additional effect, but it really shows you, oh, how hot it is there, so it's a perfect simulation of a sauna. Yeah, the sauna costumes, with the typical sauna hats are absolutely excellent. So I think the people who will see this performance first time while watching Eurovision, they will be totally blown away. And I think Sweden might even win the televoting this year. As I have said, this part is just so engaging. I still remember how the whole Friends Arena was singing along with them this particular part of the song, and I'm pretty sure that the audience in Basel will also already know these lyrics by heart. And in the end, they turned the sauna into the club where, everyone is just having a crazy party with the sauna brooms and whatever is happening. Yeah, super cool. And this visual in the end, when some guys stand up, some sit down, it's just so simple, but it's just so effective, and no one else has done it on Eurovision before. Yeah, it's just a fantastic performance, really cleverly made, and definitely something what will be remembered for the years to come. So another fantastic entry from Sweden for Eurovision. Actually, this type of songs, this kind of dansband-inspired songs we have in Swedish Melodifestivalen every year, but these guys really made something different. And it's also great to see that not only the generic pop can win Swedish Melodifestivalen. But now let's take a look at the history of Sweden in the Eurovision semifinals in accordance with the televoting. And as you can see, in accordance with the last 5 years, Sweden is ranked second from the participants of their semifinal, but also from all 31 countries taking part in the semifinals this year. So it's a great result. And if we take a look at all the last 15 years, you can see that Sweden actually never missed to qualify in accordance with the televoting. Of course, you might know in 2010, Anna Bergendahl with This Is My Life failed to qualify because of the juries. I was totally heartbroken back then. It was my favorite entry of 2010, and actually surprisingly the worst result of Sweden in the semifinals in accordance with the televoting was the 10th place in 2021 by 2 set voices. So absolutely perfect result. Sweden took part in the semifinals 12 times, and from those 12 times, 6 times they were in top 3 of the semifinal, and 4 times they even won their semifinal. And I'm 100% sure that this year Sweden is again at least in top 3 and maybe even winning the semifinal. I just have to take a look at the full semifinal lineup. And speaking about the semifinal lineup, you can see on your screen that Sweden will take part in the first semifinal in its first half, and it's already known that they will perform with the running order number 6, following the entries from Spain and Ukraine, so actually totally different vibe, and being followed by Portugal and Norway, which are also bringing something completely different. So when I look at this list of the semifinalists, being like 99% sure, I can say that Sweden will win the first semifinal. I really can't see any other country doing it. Well, maybe Netherlands, if they bring some absolutely mesmerizing performance and amazing vocals by Claude, maybe they might come close, but at this point of time, I really don't see any competition for KAJ in the first semifinal. But let's see what Eurovision fans are thinking about this entry. So as you can see on your screen, in the Eurovision scoreboard, Sweden is ranked second, so being just below Austria, which is in my opinion the main favorite to win this Eurovision Song Contest, and actually being followed by Finland, where the guys come from. So it's very interesting to have kind of 2 Finnish acts in top 3 of the Eurovision fans. But if we take a look at the bookmaker odds, you can see that Sweden is actually sitting on a comfortable place 1, being not too far ahead of JJ from Austria though. So at this point of time, I can say that in my opinion, JJ's entry, Wasted Love, is screaming a bit more Eurovision winner to me, simply because of the juries. Even though the juries have supported Bara Bada Bastu heavily in the Swedish Melodifestivalen, I still think that in the Eurovision final, where we will have a lot of sort of, funny party acts, most probably we'll have Estonia, Australia, Finland, Finland. I don't think that the juries will support this one so heavily, even though obviously it will be not one of their outsiders. So at this point of time, I see Austria winning more. However, we haven't seen the live performance of KAJ yet. Well, speaking about the staging, I don't think we have to discuss anything because Sweden is famous for just taking their staging from the Swedish Melodifestivalen, where they already invest a lot of money and a lot of time and effort into the performance, and just transposing it to the Eurovision stage. So I think this performance was so excellent. I don't think they need to add anything or remove anything. Unfortunately, I think they will have to remove 1 or 2 dancers because they were more than 6 people on stage. But apart from that, I think no changes are needed. So that's what I think about KAJ's entry Bara Bada Bastu for Eurovision 2025. Maybe it was not my personal favorite of Swedish Melodifestivalen, but I think these guys will anyway do very well in the Eurovision Song Contest, and I'm just super curious to see how high they can climb. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel if you still haven't, it will help me enormously, and tune in for the next one. Bye!